up, everybody? Welcome to Middle Age Gifts for the Venture Next. My name is Eric, aka GI Gamer 1981. The other guy right there is Tristan Ibarra, the greatest Kickstarter man of the future, and also the greatest author that's been ever made.
Yeah, including War and Peace. Okay, go ahead.
Warren Ibarra. Also, I'd like to introduce our special guest tonight. This is Frank right here, and welcome to our little podcast. It's just going to be all laid back here. And why don't we let Ibarra give a little introduction to you?
So this is Frank, aka Chris Sanderson. I knew him as Chris back in high school, but he goes by Frank now. He's all like sophisticated and stuff. Where's your smoking jacket, Frank?
I know. I'm wearing the tie-dye.
Have a pipe and a smoking jacket.
I know. Frank sounds a lot more dignified, you know.
But I know that you are the fourth. Frank Sanderson the fourth, right?
I am the fourth. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I had to break the lineage. I had to break the news to my folks. I would not be naming my son the fifth. It's too much embarrassment and it's too much to write out on legal documents. So. Yeah.
You could have just named him Cinco Sanderson instead.
That's right. Yeah.
No, but
actually,
go ahead, dude.
Oh, so I was just gonna say there was actually a running bet. So when my wife was pregnant with him, is when Anderson Silva was fighting, I think, Chris Weidman for the title, UFC title, and if Anderson Silva won, my brother-in-law was going to make us name him Anderson Sanderson. And so, yeah, luckily that did not happen.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, well, Frank is a good friend of mine back from high school. Like he and I, were, I think it was our junior year we met. I
thought we met. No, wasn't it freshman year in PE? Didn't we have Tappanis in PE together?
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
You see, I'm old. I'm
That's
an old.
We're all.
Holy crap! Yeah. I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
time flies.
So Frank and I have known each other forever, and we hit it off. We're both video game nerds back in the day, and have similar interests and whatnot. Kind of like Eric here. That's why we all get along together. But we are going to be talking about a few things that I knew Frank was going to be perfect for on this podcast, and that's why we invited him today. So I'm really thankful for you taking some time out of your busy day. I know you've got kids, you've got a wife, you've got a zoo to take care of. So welcome, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I got invited. This is my first podcast appearance ever. I was hoping at some point to be important enough somewhere along the way to be able to get out there in podcast land. So this is great.
So I have one question. So how was 1996 Ibarra?
Oh, 1996 Ibarra? I mean,
dude.
Super smooth. He was awesome. I mean, he was the pinnacle of gaming. He really was. I mean, he started collecting so early that I saw it very, very quickly when we became fast friends. And I had some games from my childhood. I had, some Sega Genesis and some original NES and stuff that I kind of kept. And I saw how much that he appreciated it, that I just sold him, I think, most of my stuff, right? And
dude, I still have your copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on NES. It says your name, like you wrote your name in Sharpie on it.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. You should have just magic eraser. Got some rubbing alcohol. Yeah, absolutely. But no, 96 Tristan. I think he's stayed true to himself. I think he's definitely a gamer at heart, and he is the pinnacle of staying youthful, even as we turn into skeletons.
Yeah.
So
youthful as in adolescent humor and whatnot, but I don't know about body. It's falling apart.
yeah.
So this actually brings up for our first topic for Ibarra here. I have to ask a question, by the way. How has he not seen any movies from the 80s and 90s? How did you not influence him with watching great movies?
Yeah, I know. We were just talking about this before the podcast got started, and he said, well, living in a sheltered Mormon household, I guess things kind of go by the wayside. And what did you say? You haven't even watched the original Die Hard, right?
No.
Yeah,
wild.
And what it's kind of crazy because we have a mutual friend in Harley Demarest, and Harley is like the quintessential movie buff. Like he is an encyclopedia of movie knowledge. You ask him the movie, he'll tell you the director, the year, whatever. Like it's just insane. So that dude has seen like every movie under the sun, and had Harley and I hung out more, then I probably would have seen these movies.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is so the whole thing with this was my wife's the same way. So I used to show her movies. So we started trolling Ibarra with Laserdisc. So we would buy him Laserdisc that he would have to watch. So one of them was Iron Eagle and all these random ones, as much as I could find. I mean, he literally has basically the 80s and 90s catalog of action movies in his thing, which is crazy.
Nice.
And Michael Bolton, of course.
Nice.
I do.
Michael Bolton was hilarious. But so we're going to get your review of this, Jim. Police Academy 5, Mission Miami.
Yeah.
I watched it today at work, which was while I was working, which was hilarious. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this jump in the shark mode of Police Academy.
I wouldn't call it jumping the shark because it was actually pretty enjoyable. So going into this, I knew that at some point Bobcat was going to be in it, and I'm glad that wasn't the one, because I cannot stand Bobcat. Oh my god! So
he's in 3.
Really?
He's in 3. He's in 4 also, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he's in 3 and 4.
I mean, he's such a pivotal part of those movies. I'm so glad they got away from Bobcat. I guess everyone else got sick of him too by the time 5 rolled around. But my favorite character in all of these, the 2 police academies that I've seen so far. Wait, did I watch 2? I don't even remember.
You watched 1 and 2.
Yeah, I watched 1 and 2.
1 and 2, and then we went to 5. So we'll have to backtrack you.
Yeah. No, I'm not watching Bobcat ones. So we'll just quit there. Yeah, oh gosh, I can't stand his voice. Anyway, so 5, it's kind of my favorite character in all of these police academy movies that I've seen is the commandant. He's so funny and so easy to laugh at, because he's supposed to be this serious guy, but he's kind of the center of everything that goes wrong, and that's what happens in this one. He picks up the wrong luggage. So he ends up with this treasure, stolen diamonds or something like that.
Yeah, stolen diamonds. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
and so this gang is after him, and it's all the same tropes. I can't even remember their names, but girl with the big jugs. Everyone's looking at her jugs, on the airplane. And the dude that's obsessed with all the weaponry, he's obsessed with the weaponry.
Tackleberry.
The quiet girl is quiet. It's all the same stuff. So I don't know. It's a police academy movie. I don't really know what to say about it except for the moments that happen in it, kind of like the elevator. So whenever I knew someone was going to fart in that elevator, but I thought it was going to be the commandant. I was surprised it was someone else.
I like the reaction of the guy, though, on the elevator, and he gets all mad, and then he walks off it, then farts, and then still thinks he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He's like, what? What?
Yeah. Have you guys ever been on an elevator where someone farted?
Oh, of course.
I don't think I have, but I've been in plenty of airplanes where someone's farted. And it is the rankest, most horrible prison that you can be in. The
other fun thing I've done in elevators is slap all the buttons before you leave, and you just watch
it. I've done that to somebody.
That's a dick move. So
I love it too. I do the slow slide on it too. It's not even the fast slide, just a slow slide so they can watch it do it.
You know what you do is you make eye contact with everybody as you do it too. If there's people still in the elevator, you just So full disclosure, though, I've never farted in an elevator, but I farted in a very, very crowded Flogging Molly concert. I mean, it was like we were on the floor and it was standing. Just people were jammed, and I ripped one, and I just heard this blonde chick behind me going, "Oh my God, somebody farted!" And then she just starts gagging. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's my time to exit."
Just
The-
walk away slowly.
We're gonna make our way up front.
Yeah, so the whole premise of the movie is that they're going to Miami for like a convention, like a police convention,
Well, they're
and
trying to honor
all
him,
save
right?
stuff.
Like the
Yeah.
commandant or something.
The commandant, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So he's getting like alerted there, and then like what's funny is like the Captain Harris and them is like, we're gonna do a first class ticket, and then he like picks up the phone and they called, which is stupid. They called their own number, and then they basically hooked him up on a budget plane full of like goats and chicken, all kinds of stuff. And then
Yeah.
they had like what makes no sense. So I was laughing. I was like, they had a whole press unit outside waiting for them. Like, what were they waiting for a freaking budget plane for no apparent reason, which is weird. The other thing I really like a lot was the Jaws reference where Tackleberry's in the water trying to save that kid, and he like points the gun at him and like moves him back, which is hilarious. And then
he like sticks the gun in the freaking shark's face.
the other thing I love the most, I've always wanted to try when I lived in Arizona. I wanted to see if it was true when he wrote "dork" on when he with the suntan lotion, he wrote "dork" on his thing.
Sunscreen.
And then everyone's like, "What's going on, dork?" And he's like, "Dude, all your people in your city are like the rudest people ever." And he's like, "Not my problem, dork." I always wanted to know like if that would actually work. Like I would love to see someone
100%
just
that
pass
would
out and
work.
just write "dork" on it.
Yeah, you
I've
wouldn't
seen
you
the
wouldn't
Jackass
burn where
one.
the sunscreen was.
That's what I seen. I seen it in Jackass when that dude put it on his chest, and they actually did it. It spelled Jackass on it, which was hilarious.
Oh
So that
yeah,
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we get to pick Ibarra's next movies. I picked 3 new randos movies that
boy.
he's gonna choose from.
Nice.
And it's A, B, and C. None of them are the same this time. These are all brand new movies.
Okay.
All brand new movies. And one's actually sealed, so you'll love that too.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I hope I get the sealed one so I can unseal it. You know how we feel about plastic here on this podcast.
That's right. Tear it up.
Yeah. Well, okay. So in the interest of not picking B for the 3rd week in a row, I'm just going to say A, and we'll go with
All
A.
right. Well, I'm kind of glad you did, because we're going to take you to Barry Gordy's Last Dragon, and it's sealed.
The
Now,
Last
if you've never seen
Dragon.
this movie
Oh
before-
yeah.
So if you've never
Awesome.
seen this movie before, this is in honor of my friend Hinton. He showed me this movie in Germany, and I was like, how did I miss this great movie? It's Bruce Leroy basically in Brooklyn, and basically he's trying to get his glow, and you'll love the theme song of it, but you're also gonna love all the shenanigans of the movie because it makes no sense. So I can't wait to hear your great
boy.
thing on your think of Bloodsport and a ghetto movie, and what else did I mix in there? Bruce like Bloodsport a little bit too.
Okay.
It's all
Yeah.
mixed together.
It seems like a blaxploitation blood sport, basically.
100%.
Okay.
But here's the thing though. Barry Gordy was actually was the head of Motown, so he basically took his own money from his music career and puts it in here, which is hilarious. And he also makes the theme song for it, which is also funny too.
Oh boy.
So I can't wait to hear your reaction on this.
Have you seen
And
this
speaking of
one,
old-
Frank?
Oh yeah. Been a long time though. So because you are watching that, I will make sure to update myself, and I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna try to watch
Okay.
it this weekend because I forgot all about that movie.
You don't even know how hard this movie to find on Blu-ray is. Like some movies, like you can't find. There was one at Best Buy, and I had a heart attack when I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god!" Because what we did was my friend Hinton from the military. He never seen The Warriors, and so he's like, The Last Dragon's the best movie ever. Like best, he is a black exploitation film, but he's like the best ghetto movie ever. And I was like, no, that's The Warriors. And he's like, what's The Warriors? So I explained it to him. He's like, well, that sounds stupid. And so we switched. And then he was like, I watched it. I liked it. But you know what? I still love The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's always a fun thing for me to kind of pass the love of all these random weird movies that I found. So speaking of old dirty movies, we're gonna go into flea market stories. Finding those great deals and all that dirty treasure. So who wants to start it off with their greatest flea market stories?
So I mean, Frank and I, we went to the same flea market. It was just the one flea market, right, in Eureka. Did we have any others?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we definitely did some pawn shopping too. I mean, we made the rounds in Eureka, but it was mainly that flea market by the bay. That place was incredible. I mean, it was just like the freakiest of freak shows. It was definitely like a carnival sideshow meets all the goods and services. It was like a Japanese market and ICP concert all in one, right? I mean, I think that would be the best way to describe it. So, yeah, it was, yeah, exactly. And so Tristan and I, before the podcast was starting, were discussing, there was this one particular character, and we always would call him the squeaky voiced guy. That was basically the moniker we'd use for him.
Yeah.
He had like
voice, Ibarra?
Huh?
What's that voice?
Oh, I'm not going to emulate it.
I don't even think our voice could get in the range.
No,
it was like,
it's weird. Like it was just naturally squeaky and like high.
Like he
got kicked in the balls and like couldn't get him back down.
Yeah.
Hi,
he just
Chris.
had the.
Hi,
oh man. It was like, hey, so you gonna come here? And he, like, what was his specialty? He had like Beanie Babies. He had like a wall.
Too. He had video games also.
He had. Didn't he have mostly like NES and like Sega Genesis and stuff?
Yeah.
Right. Well, was he the guy that also, because there was another cubby I remember, and you'd walk in and it was just like almost like streamers. He had like shit hanging from the ceilings. If I remember, weren't there like N64 games like on a big wall when you'd walk in? It was like a cave. I don't know how anybody didn't steal from this place though. Because I mean, you were like literally walking, and you'd have to like wade through the games in this place. It was like a sea of games. But yeah, the dude had like wild Beanie Babies, and then like you go past the game spot over here, and then over here there was just like boxes of like fucking screws and like saw blades and shit. It was all like, homemade makeshift melee weapons, and then I think there was like the bong and pipe shop over on the left hand side. They had like just it's Humboldt County, so of course there's just going to be.
This is before like any of the legalization or whatever, but like Humboldt County, California, we were always known as like part of the Emerald Triangle up here. Like Humboldt weed is infamous around the world, but like no one tried to hide it either. You go to like Arcata, which is where Humboldt State University is, and all the freaking hippies. You go in like their Arcata Square, which is the center of town, and no one's trying to hide that shit. They never were.
No. In the 90s, it was still, it was like kind of like just an unwritten rule. The cops wouldn't mess with all the hippies dancing down there on the plaza, as long as they weren't hurting anybody. But yeah, everybody was just openly just smoking, and the cops had bigger fish to fry, so to speak. So yeah.
That flea market was very much in tune with those times.
Oh, it was wild. It was like right on the bay. Had to have been in a tsunami zone. I mean, it was like right on the wharf. Yeah, it just stunk like old fish.
Well, and the pulp mill that you had to like go by to get there.
Yeah. The pulp mill is right down there. Yeah, it was like it was a sad day when. Oh yeah, it was just like the sea of broken dreams back there. I mean, I think all the people that worked at the flea market literally like lived there. There was like RVs like parked outside so they paid their booth space and got their rent paid, and it was wild out there.
So I didn't have none in the States, but I'll tell you a funny one. So when I was stationed at Ramstein in Germany, someone made a website called it was called Ramstein Yard Sales. So like what would happen is like basically it was a website that was local like to the area, and people would just meet up like in this Burger King parking lot, and basically it was like drug deals going on, not like real drug deals, but like
Yeah.
I mean, they would be selling all kinds of stuff. Three incidents happened to me there. One, a dude had, I'm not joking with you, complete in box DuckTales 2 and Chippendales Rescue Rangers 2, and just was like, I'm just trying to get rid of them. And I'm like looking, I'm like, dude, these are like really expensive. And he's like, I don't want them. And I'm like, dude, they're worth a bunch of money. He's like, I don't care. And I was like, it's fine. And he's like, yeah, I got all this other stuff. So it was like basically all these working design games were in this little bag he had, a dog bone controller, and all kinds of stuff. And I got that all for like $100
Damn.
from the guy. And then
Unheard of
another
nowadays.
one,
No deals to be had.
which was crazy. Everyone kind of knew that I was buying a lot of games there, you know. And some lady saw me and she was like, "Yeah, I heard about you buying games." So she's like, "Are you still interested in buying games?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So she drove me over to his house, okay. And I guess her son passed away. And he was in the military, had something happen to him. And dude, whoever this kid was, he had like the most crazy collection that I've ever seen. That Mega Man, that box Mega Man that I got there was from that guy. Snow
Yeah.
Brothers was from him. He had all these complete in box games, and she didn't want them going to a person that basically wouldn't appreciate them. And she's like, I won't sell them to you if you're just going to try to flip them and try to get rid of them. And I was like, no, I'll keep them. I said, I'll keep every game that he has. And I still have all the games that guy has. His name's on the back of them, and I have all of them like the same, which is like crazy. But that was pretty wild. That like I walked in this room and I like had a heart attack. I was like, oh my god. The other one you should know about was the guy when I first moved here. I got my house here, right? I'm like, I got this basement, and they were having a flea market at Shadow Lake, and this guy had a whole garage full of stuff, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it. It's just boxes and boxes and all kinds of like old consoles and stuff. And he's like, $500 and you can take it all. So like I screamed and basically ran to the bank and pulled like $500 out, hauled back, because he had a box CDX, which I didn't get because he was kind of like having sentimental value on it. So I didn't want to argue with him, so I gave it back to him, and then like got the stuff out. And right before I showed up, some other resellers showed up, and they were pissed. They were like super pissed off about it. And I was trying to fill that Jeep with like stuff, and I had to make like 3 trips back and forth to my new house. And Melissa was pissed. That's what Melissa's great wall, the console great wall that was at my other house.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
mostly from all that guy that I bought from
Oh my gosh, seriously. Wow.
that garage sale / flea market they were having out there. It was nuts.
Yeah, I really miss flea markets, especially like it was a routine that we had. We went every single Saturday, and we went with friends. So yeah, Chris would always be, dude. I was so like thankful for you and your Mustang, man. Like, you were the guy with the wheels. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you always
that
have
was
that
awesome.
one friend that like has the wheels, and dude had a freaking '69 Mustang fastback. Dude, that thing was so nice. Whatever happened to that car, man?
Brokenheartedly, I sold it maybe about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of it was just starting to rot in the driveway. I just didn't have time or the money to work on it. And so I let it go, with the hopes that one day I could get something else, something to work on. Hopefully me and the son maybe can work on something. But it was awesome. Some of the best times were to be had in that car. I mean, I think we made it like a weekly thing. We would do our rounds. We used to go up to Eureka. We'd hit the mall. We'd hit the flea market, and then we'd go hit the batting cages, and then go get something to eat. And that was just like every freaking weekend we'd do that. And then we threw some pawn shops in the mix too. Pawn shops were starting to just kind of become a thing in Eureka. So it was, dude, that was some of the best of times we had. Pawn shops are pretty wild in Eureka, though. You got to have your head on a swivel nowadays in those pawn shops. There are some crazy druggies that come in and out of there. I literally saw a guy a while back. I was in one with my son, and I'm coming out, and in the parking lot, this dude's got like a knife like this, like a big, like, and he just bought it at the pawn shop, and he's tapping it on the hood of his car, and he's talking to his buddies, and they're like, all right, we're going to go get our money back now. And they like start marching across the street with this knife. And I look at my son, I'm all right, we're getting out of here.
Holy
this is
crap.
not where I want to be. Yeah. So that's where Eureka's at now.
Yeah, so
Arizona was like kind of different too. Like, so like it's so hot in Arizona, so we didn't have like, a lot of flea markets. They would have like one big flea market, but what a lot of stores did, like a lot of mom and pop stores, they would have like their own like flea market places. My mom used to take me, like my mom found this random place, and they used to sell Nintendo games for like 5 cents, and then they would have like, that's where I got my Resident Evil from, and like all these weird places. Like they would have stacks of games, and you just walk in there. And my friend laughed at me one time. They had a dresser. I had nothing to hold the games in, so the lady's like, just take the dresser. And so I had this dresser full of Nintendo games that I stocked in there and just took them out and went to the house. But my mom was like that though. She, like when we lived on the East Coast, she was all into like flea markets and Goodwills and anything she could get her hands on that was like thrifty and cheap. And so she taught me that, and that's how she did it with me all the time. She would find it was funny, like this. It didn't look like a video game store. You just walk in, there's like a cage on the front. You walk in, there's like games everywhere. And I was like, I wish I would have cleaned that place out.
Yeah.
Like what I have, because they had everything in there.
Yeah, and you know, we have all these stories about these flea markets and stuff that all these deals that we get, but like it's a thing of the past, because nowadays, you know, with the internet being around, everyone's trying to resell. It's way too easy to resell everything. So everyone thinks that they have stuff that's worth something, and they're never going to like give you any sort of deals in a place like a flea market or even garage sales anymore. It's just not a thing. Craigslist, whenever it was first out, you know, kind of took the place of garage sales, you know, for people who didn't want to go on eBay. But even now, like the market is so saturated with these resellers that are just trying to flip and make easy money that you're just not going to find anything anymore. And I really miss those days of going to the flea market week after week, you know, looking for video games specifically. Maybe flea markets exist for other reasons, like you know, farmers markets. But as far as video games are concerned, I really think it's just dried out, and you're not going to find anything anymore.
Also, too, like we were talking about this too, and so you were talking about like limited run being digital now. You know what I mean? Now everything's going to a digital market, and because of that, all this physical stuff that we have now, and there's certain game, like they were saying, like I guess in like Kelsey's little thing, 83% of games right now are, you can't get them. They're only digital only, and the physical games, you can't get your hands on them. So what's happening now is that I think it's going to do a reverse, because everyone's going to start hating digital, and they're just going to go get physical games for them instead of having to try and download them and lose them. But the problem is that people are going to use that to their advantage, and the prices are going to go up for all the physical copies.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's going to suck.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I hope that does happen, just because, you know, I'm part of, it's no secret, I'm part of Premium Edition Games. And, you know, we're just like Limited Run. Our model is that we help developers that only have a digital product bring their product to a physical form, so that there's a physical game out there. We've seen in the market, and it's because of Limited Run and just the saturation of it, that the market is kind of slowed down and people have stopped buying. But, you know, given this new information, I'm really hoping that it does turn around and people start buying again, physical.
Yeah.
I hope they just keep it, because right now it's bad. Like you see Targets and stuff now, they got nothing, not even movies. It's crazy.
No, it's weird. It's like the aisles have been condensed down to like maybe 2 aisles.
Yeah, dude.
And it used to be just an ocean of like movies and games. And like, you know, my kids, even nowadays, it's just like, you know, you sit down, you turn on demand of whatever games or movies, and you just pop it up. And it's like, I don't think they really understand of like what it's like to actually like get something that you've been waiting for like a year or two or whatever for the release date, and you get it and you crack it and you smell that fresh Chinese plastic, and it just like, you know, it's almost noxious. It just knocks you out, especially Nintendo games. Nintendo games had a specific like, you know, whatever ink they used in the manuals and in the chips inside of the cartridges, you know. But it was awesome. I mean, and then I would even sit there before I even play the game. I would sit there and just stare at the manual for like an hour. And my parents would be like, "Are you going to play it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just looking at the artwork and who made the game and all that."
Yeah.
And then I would actually play it, you know. I was that kid.
Oh, yeah. I love that you said that because I'm actually the person for premium edition games that makes the manuals. I have such an appreciation for manuals, and I love making them. Love it.
Yeah.
I was the same way. And like the crazy thing that I'm starting to see now, I told him this. So there was a company that actually made all the physical games, like for PlayStation and Switch. But you think about it today, Ibarra, why is LRG going digital? And right after this whole thing with those physical,
because they have nothing
closing,
else to do. They've saturated their own market.
Well, it's not even saturated their own market, but guess what? They could have been getting that stuff from that same company, and now they can't get their hands on it. So there might be coming in the future where they're going to give it away from physical, and they're just going to give you only exclusive digital only. Kind of like those what are those things called? Those what do they call them? NFTs. It's going to be something like that where you have exclusive NFTs for that type of stuff. Yeah, correct. But also, I think I feel the same way. Like with my kids, I try to show them like all the cool stuff with it, you know, and kind of get their excitement for it. That's what I do with them, you know. But they have their own thing too, like Sonic and Mario. Like that's their foundation right now. And like that's why I made this room, because my mom used to take me to Blockbuster, so that's why I have all this stuff here, because I want them to feel the same experience by having something in their hands and actually playing with it, instead of let's just go on the thing and just click on a button and go and just watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's odd. It's almost like the Library of Alexandria has already been burnt. When it's like when you just have digital, it's like it's just air.
Yeah,
it's just so weird.
Sad day.
Topic we're going to talk about is 80s and 90s local commercials. You know, us growing up, you know, you always had your own local commercials and things like that. So I thought this would be a good topic for all three of us.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, Frank and I are going to have similar experiences having grown up in the same place, Northern California in Humboldt County. So I guess both of us should just focus on two. And hopefully I don't take the ones that you're thinking of.
Okay.
There's one jingle that I just can't get out. Actually, I'm going to take three. and one of them's not really a commercial. It was just a segment that was on all the time.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this one. I know where you're going with this one.
All right. So the first one is Angelo's Pizza.
Okay.
That jingle. Whoever wrote that jingle did a really good job, because it's very memorable. Everybody goes to Angelo. That one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was having a hard time. Yeah. That was a good one.
Dude, it's got freaking 2 verses.
I know, but it's stuck in your head, and you go, damn, I want some Angelo's Pizza tonight.
Yeah, I know.
It just gets stuck on your head so hard. And they had a decent arcade.
What's that?
They had a decent arcade.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, pizza arcades are a dying thing, or a thing of the past too.
I know.
Yeah.
We actually got a Mountain Mike's Pizza here in town, and they actually have an arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my kid actually wanted to go, so I didn't get to accompany. My wife took him, but apparently they blew through probably $40 worth of quarters.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's one that you got that sticks out?
For me, it's all the Corky Cornwell commercials. So he was a U.S. cellular cell phone. Yeah. And it was just the typical zany commercial guy. He was just this overweight, He looked like somebody that would be on the campaign trail for Goldwater Republican, and he just would do the craziest fucking commercials, and he was insanely loud. Like if you had your TV up too loud, it would literally just blow the speakers out of your TV. It's almost like
You're
the
not
people
lying.
that no, it was almost like the people at the studio making the commercial knew that, and then they would crank it up all that much more loud in the audio mixing. So, I mean, there was one commercial in particular that stands out that was super wacky. He had, when the Motorola Razr came out, the phone would ring and he'd pick it up and go, "Hello, sorry, I'm busy shaving with my razor." And he had like a brand new Motorola Razr and it was just covering it in shaving cream. It was ridiculous.
The second one that I had was Archie and Clodhopper. What was that?
Oh yeah,
What was
Soul
that?
Savers.
Soul Savers. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the stupid. It was a car dealership, right?
Yes.
Soul Saver, like they're saving the souls of your shoes.
Yeah.
They're giving you the deal on a brand new car.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was ridiculous.
Talking shoes. Like that's the best thing that they could think of. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh man.
It was just these talking boots. They'd cut the sides out of them and put like sewn like puppet faces, and they would sit there and talk, saying, "Yeah, come down to Soul Savers. We'll save your shoes." It was ridiculous. So I'm having a hard time thinking of a second one, so I will actually add to the Soul Savers. So they actually did away with the boots for a while in the commercial, and they actually it was the new owner bought it, and instead of the boots in the commercial, they would like plagiarize like different like they did like a Fantasy Island commercial, and it was all Fantasy Island themed. And then one time they did a Beavis and Butthead one, and they actually had somebody do the owner and his sidekick in Beavis and Butthead in the cartoon, and they actually got a cease and desist from MTV because of it, and they had to pull the commercial.
Are you freaking kidding me? What were they thinking?
No, I know. They was like a full blatant plagiarize. It was crazy.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it was wild.
All right, I'll save my last bullet till after we hear from Eric.
All right.
So I have one that's really funny, and it never aired on TV in Baltimore, but there was an ad group that was doing an award show in 2006 for a local car place. Did like an ad, and the ad company that does the voiceovers for them, they made two versions of them. One was the actual version of it, and the other one was them making fun of Baltimore. And they're like, the first portion of it, they go, "F you, Baltimore," and they talk all this trash. And it was like a joke, but somehow someone found the tape of them that made it, and they posted it on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should go look up Big Bill Hell's Cars. It's ridiculous. Like they make all this inappropriate stuff for it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to play just the first portion of it, just so you understand.
We're gonna have to link some of this stuff. Like if we can find these commercials, we'll try and link it in the description below our video. That way, people who did not grow up in Tempe, Arizona, or DC area, or Humboldt County, California, can enjoy and partake in the amazingness that is our local commercials.
Oh yeah,
it's something to see.
I thought you were gonna bring up Joel Agnew.
Oh no, that's my last bullet, brother.
Oh shit! Ah, sorry.
If you think you're gonna find a bargain at Big Bill, you can kiss my ass.
So it's like, so it's them spoofing it. Like it's crazy. And so when I was a kid, I saw the actual commercial. So when I saw that, I was like, "Is that real? Did that really happen?" And I talked to my cousin about it, and my cousin's like, he's like, "Dude, I saw that same commercial." He's like, "I don't think they said that though." And I found out like over the years, they were just frustrated with doing it over and over again. They just made one just to laugh at, and it got out to the internet, and I'm glad it did because it's amazing.
So is this one that they like just aired at 2 a.m. when no one was watching, or what?
No, they never show it on like TV. They made it, and then
Oh,
it was like a joke to them, like
I
when they
see.
had
I
it.
see.
But someone like took the tape and they found it and they posted it on YouTube, and like they do like it's like he's like, yeah, you're gonna do challenge pissing. He's like, if you can pee up in the air without touching yourself, then you'll get a free car. It's so dumb. And, and the best part of it, like I laughed the most, was that Baltimore was known for these like shady car places. And so them just starting the whole video with F you Baltimore was like, I just died. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
But you can
We
find on
had this guy.
YouTube Big Bill
Oh,
Hell's car.
big what?
Big Bill Hell's cars.
Gotcha. We had one actually. There was one in the Omaha area. I remember from like, whenever I first got here. Remember Rod? No. You were here a little later, so you probably don't remember there. But there was this like retired. I think he was a retired football player that it was trying to make his like furniture empire or something like that. But he still has that 7-day market. That's Rod Cush. You remember that, Eric?
I think so. And I think also, don't quote me on this, but I think he's my father-in-law's neighbor.
No way.
Like he lives right next to Joe, I think. Yeah. He like dude, he played for Nebraska, I guess, and then he just basically he lives off his fame from that. There's another
Oh gosh.
one
So he
I
wasn't
think
even
I
an
saw him
NFL
on there, but
player. He just played for Nebraska.
I don't know if he was or not. All I know is that he told me like, because I went over his house and I was like, why does this dude have like the biggest jacuzzi I've ever seen in my life? Like it was huge. And he's like, oh, he thinks he's the stuff. He like sells furniture and he lives off his Nebraska stuff. And he was kind of just like kind of nonchalant, like,
Well, that's
oh, he's
that's like
just into himself too much.
that's the most Nebraska thing that anyone has ever Nebraska'd. Because like those of you who have never lived here in Nebraska, there's one thing that you got to understand. These people love their Huskers. The people who
Oh
grew
my
up
God.
here love their Huskers. No other sports exist. They're the shittiest team in the world. They'll never win. They're the Cowboys of NCAA because they'll never win a championship. And all of their fans fucking think that they're the hottest shit every single year. They're like, oh, this is the year we're gonna win it all, and that's all you fucking hear about. And they always fucking lose. And it's so irritating. It's just, oh my gosh. All right, I need to stop. My blood pressure's getting too high. Well, yeah, dude. Like hearing that
They're
Rod
the
Cush
Cowboys of the
like lives
Midwest, that's
off
what
of
it's
his
called.
Nebraska fame. Yeah, that's very Nebraska of him.
That's all they do
Famous
around here. When
Nebraska
Scott
football
Frost came here,
player.
they act like it was like coming of Jesus.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude.
It's crazy here. I can't deal with it. I'm an ASU fan. I'm just gonna say that here. Pac-12, we're never going to a championship, so we're just getting participation trophies every year. So I'm good with that. But out here, like honest truth, like I've never going from Germany to here. That's the first thing someone told me. He's like, dude, he's like, you're gonna get so annoyed by how many times they're gonna say how great they are, and they're really not.
Well, yeah,
I can't stand it.
they have. I mean, like their defense, like their elite defense, is called the Black Shirts, as if that means something. Like, yeah, you're still a shitty defense with black shirts, apparently.
It's
Great,
true.
good for you. So my last, sorry,
It's
getting
bad.
back to the local commercials. My Nebraska hate diatribe there. 80s and 90s commercials. The last thing that I wanted to mention about Humboldt County, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention this man. Joel Agnew. What's going on with Joel Agnew? It was this segment every day, every week, probably every week.
I think it was once a week. Yeah.
But I mean, they aired it daily, but he would record a new one every week, and it was what's going on with Joel Agnew. So he was into the hip scene of like everything going on in Humboldt County. He was the it guy, like apparently. He would like to think. So he was this like freaking, I don't know, like 50-year-old dude that like thought he was hot shit. He reminds me of like a less cool somehow Guy Fieri.
Right.
Like if Guy Fieri like took a shit and it turned into a person, it'd be Joel Agnew.
You got to be careful now. You know, Guy Fieri is our landlord over in Ferndale.
Oh, sorry, Guy.
No, that's fine.
I forgot about that. He's
I don't think he's a gamer. I know. Yeah, he's gonna fucking evict us next month. Now we're done.
I love you, Guy.
I don't think we're in any danger.
I know. Of course, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
Guy Fieri looks like every dad in Arizona, like legit, like with the spiky hair, and they got those ridiculous boats and those fire shirts. Like those fire shirts are freaking everywhere in Arizona. When I saw him, I thought he was from Arizona. Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's wild to find out that he's from a little fucking hick cow town in Northern California.
Yeah, he's from Ferndale, California.
Yeah.
Which is right near us.
Wild.
Yeah, so he worked at some bakery that was like, my brother worked at that bakery too. And
he worked at and he worked at the Ivanhoe. He's famous for, he was a cook at the Ivanhoe, or actually he was a dishwasher, and then he worked his way up to a cook. I've heard the whole history 1,000 times over.
Is there a sign going into the Ferndale, like home of Guy Fieri?
No, that's what's crazy is like it's definitely like the town lore that he's from there, and you know, like our store over there, my wife has Guy Fieri merch in the store and shit like that.
Really?
Because I mean, oh yeah, we have a whole awesome Guy Fieri section. I mean, he's our landlord, so how could you not? It's kind of like, we might as well, right?
Lean into it for sure.
Yeah, and he's cool. Like he's given us like official merch, and he actually autographed some stuff for us to sell last year, which was pretty cool. So, but no, the town doesn't like put a flag post out front that says, come to town because this is where Guy Fieri's from. But you know, it's kind of a known. It's got one of those unknown known things.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, if Guy Fieri's just one of those people that people love to hate. So
I know.
I'm just having fun.
For sure.
But Joel Agnew, I'm not joking around. He thought he was hot shit and he wasn't. So it was just so annoying to hear this guy like, hey, what's going on? Like over at the Newburgh Park, you got this, and I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it was just his delivery was like his delivery was weak. But you forgot to put in the actual cream of the whole story is that he was like pretty overweight. He was like a big dude, but like he had a braided rat tail.
That's right.
It was like 4 feet long. And he drove this like little tiny Miata. And so I saw him at the gas station one day, and he gets out, right? And I didn't know he had a rat tail. He never like let it fly in the commercials or nothing. And like, so he gets out and he jumps out of this Miata, right? And he's sitting there putting gas in, and all of a sudden he just reaches back and he just brushes the back of his neck and he flicks this thing out. And I was like, holy shit. He's got like a 3 foot long braided rat tail. It was wild.
Oh man. Anyone like that down in Arizona?
So technically you guys are like Flavor Town.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, the section of our store we call it Flavor. My wife calls it Flavor Town. So if you're ever in Ferndale, California, and you want to buy some official Guy Fieri merch from the source,
Frank, like, do you guys have a website that we can link also?
Yeah, it would be oh god, my wife's gonna kill me if I don't know. Let's see, it should be Humboldt's hometown store .com. I actually have the Ferndale City Guide right here.
Hey.
So that is the guide my wife worked hard on last week to get out.
And Eric, you didn't know, the Majestic was filmed there. Outbreak was filmed there.
What?
Yeah.
The monkey?
Yeah. Oh, here's another thing about Outbreak that I think Chris knows or Frank knows. My dad was an extra He was what the fuck is his name? Freaking main character.
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, thank you. He was Dustin Hoffman's body double.
Oh, I think you told me that.
Yeah, my
That's
dad was.
nuts. I think we. Yeah, did we saw that? Yeah, I think I've seen it. Okay.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So a thing that you might be interested in, where I lived in Tempe, is where they filmed Bill and Ted. So the water slide with Napoleon and like the bowling alleys and the Sam Demas was actually my middle school, which is wild.
Really?
So they actually have a circle. The Circle K that they used, it's actually there, and they have like it taped off, and inside of it they have like a poster, and it's like the Circle K, and it's like it's a historical place now. They can't get rid of it. It's basically there for that movie, which is pretty freaking cool. It was laughing because I was watching the movie one time, and I'm like, I've been there. I was like, I've been there, and my friend's like, yeah, it was taped here, and I was like, what? Are you insane? And the mall that they were in was Fiesta Mall.
That's awesome.
Actually, that's a good segue. We can jump to the next one and talk about gaming as a parent last if you want to. That's
fine.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about comparing 80s, 90s malls to today. I want to give a shout out. Rest in peace. I'm going to get a Rest in Peace Fiesta Mall t-shirt. The place where I got my first date, where I'd done all my shenanigans, the arcade where I used to whoop the brakes off people. And by the way, before Chick-fil-A even got hot, Chick-fil-A was in the mall before it was even a restaurant. So we had a Chick-fil-A next to our arcade place. And my favorite pizza place of all time, Sbarro's, you know, that great
mall
pizza.
Beautiful.
Greatest New York pizza in the world.
What was great about my mall compared to what is today, it was like the meetup spot for everybody. We didn't have phones. So basically we would just run into each other at the mall. Like we would literally be there like on a Saturday morning or in the afternoon after we got out of school. Like everyone basically met up there. And so you'll see random people, your friends in Hot Topic, or playing in Spencer's, looking at the most inappropriate stuff in the back. Won't go into all those details. Or my favorite was basically everyone was outside skateboarding and smoking. So like you ran into somebody when you were there. So like that's the thing I miss the most is we went to a mall here, not even like a month ago. Me and my wife were like, let's go check out a mall. And we went in there, and it looked like the most diseased, disgusting place I've ever seen in my life. Like we walked in there, we're like, dude, we're depressed. Like this used to be our childhood, and now it's like some scum layer. It was like, dude, it was funny. There was one Spencer's open in this store, and the rest of it was like a flea market on the inside. Like they were selling like old, worn out clothes and stuff. It was freaking weird. I'm
picturing like this rundown mall. Like footage of it like black and white, and then like that Madonna song, "This used to be my playground." Like the saddest like ever.
What blows my mind though, like even for like say for them for you guys' malls or whatever, like I can't believe they're gone. Like I enjoyed like just walking around and seeing stuff. You know what I mean? I like Sam Goody or KB Toy Store. Or before GameStop, EB Games, like all these great stores you just walk around in and just enjoy. But like now it's like everything's Amazon, everything's like online. No one wants to leave and things like that. It's so weird because it's such a social impact. Like the place I lived in was social impact. We used to go there all the time, and it's sad that it finally got demolished today, and like no one's ever going to enjoy that type of stuff again.
Yeah, literally today, huh?
Today, it like my friend sent a Facebook post. Shout out Mac Cortez, the partiest guy ever. By the way, another funny story. On our last day of school, he hit a light post, and he hit. We were in ROTC, and he hit Colonel Stark's car, which he was the head of our ROTC place.
Oh hell!
So not only did he was trying to show off for the ladies, he had this Camaro. And he lost it, and he hit the post, and then it came around and hit the thing. And all I could do when I was smoking my cigarette was like, did that just happen? That just happened. oh, that's Colonel's car. Oh my God, this is gonna be great. And watching him get out of the car and then have to go inside, and all you can hear in this, because we used to have these portables, you could hear the portable shake from just him flipping out. By the way, he had a Stingray Corvette.
Oh
Sitting there.
no!
So
Oh come
so it got
on!
smashed. And boy, it was the last day of school too, which is crazy. But he's in the Air Force right now. He's in the Guard, and he flies around. And dude, he was the dude I wanted to be as a kid. He like had all the girls. Everyone loved him. So shout out to Mac Cortez. Hope you're doing good out there. But yeah. What about your guys' malls? What great memories did you have in your malls?
I'll let you go first, there, Frank.
Let's see. So basically, the mall in Eureka, well, it kind of took on a twofold thing. So we had a smaller, older mall that was like the early 80s when I was very little. That would have been, what they call that? Mall 101 or Eureka. It was just the Eureka Mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then that.
Pop quiz, Frank. What did it smell like every time you walked into Eureka Mall?
Oh, it's fucking gorgeous. Donuts. I mean,
donuts,
dude.
So good.
It would blast you like it just. Oh my God! And then the dude in the corner would be selling newspapers, and they had this big fountain in the middle. It was beautiful, and you walk in, but there wasn't much to shop there. It was like they had a Sears attached to it, which was cool. I can't remember what else. I was really little when that was all going down, but then. In 1985, they built the Bayshore Mall, which is down by the bay, which was about like a mile away or so from this little mall that was up on the hill because it was just limited on space up there. So Sears moved down there and then eventually was, your normal, typical urban sprawl mall. Definitely not as big as, it wasn't a multi-level. It was a single level mall. It kind of it was kind of in like a fork, like a V, and there was like the main hub with the food court, and everything kind of V'd out. But it had an arcade, it had Tilt, it had a Hot Topic. There was, Old Navy, Victoria's Secret, a Zoomies, all the goods, all the main stuff. And Tristan, Pacific Sunwear, that was another one. Sam Goody. And even like before GameStop, it used to be Software Etc. Used to go in there. It was awesome. You'd walk right by Tilt, and then right by the arcade, and then I think it was right next door for a long time, right? Yeah. So it was just you would just bounce back and forth between the two. It was amazing. And nowadays, it's still there. And just to update Tristan on how it's going. The mall itself is fairly empty as far as like Victoria's Secret went out of business, or not out of business. You know what I mean? Victoria's Secret went out, like Old Navy, like a lot of the big box places went out. But there's all these like weird little mid-mall kiosks selling random shit, but like on the outside, the shops are like empty. Like there's no more J.C. Penney, but they got like an Ulta Beauty. There used to be a movie theater, but the movie theater went out years ago. They got rid of the movie theater, which is now where the Ulta is just all cosmetics, which is bizarre. They got the Kohl's. We have a Kohl's in there. But believe it or not, somebody is pumping money into this thing because for as much money as they're losing on the leases for not having businesses in, it's got like brand new tile. Like it actually looks good. Wow. The food court, though, is better. Like if you go in the food court, there's only there's like a Mexican place, and that's it.
That's good too.
It's all I heard it's good too, but everything else is just white plywood. So the whole food court is like boarded up.
That's so sad.
It's bananas. So, and then one other little fun fact is, do you ever remember back by the bathrooms when you go into the bathrooms, there was like this wall of ceramic tiles, and I think it was like some kids from a school had made all these different tiles, and there was like peace, love, friendship, and then there was like somebody had done the Metallica logo, and it was just like this perfect. So we always go, yay! Well, it got fucking ripped out recently.
Oh,
yeah. So no more Metallica tile. So
I forgot about that, dude. I totally remember that wall, but I forgot that was in Bayshore.
Yeah, it was like
That's
customary.
funny.
It's like if you were on your way to shit out your Sabaros in the hasty run to the bathroom, you'd have to give the Metallica tile the,
Yeah, the
for
funniest
whatever you
story.
think of Metallica.
Love Metallica. It's my fave. They're number one in my heart. We were just talking about that last week.
Yeah, we were talking about Metallica last week, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
The funniest mall I ever went into, and it's something, Arizona, that you'll laugh at. There's a mall in Scottsdale, and people locally will know this. There's a mall in Scottsdale, and this mall, when it was open, dude, all they sold was like expensive stuff. So all the rich people like went there and stuff. And what's funny is that if you walked into the mall and they know that you're not supposed to be there, like the entire mall would like turn around and stare at you, and then basically they
Really?
would like call security. And so yeah, it's crazy. I thought it was a mall, and I hate to age myself, but I was going. So Static X was supposed to be at this place called Marquee. I used to work there as a bartender. We got moved to Scottsdale, so all the goth kids showed up in Scottsdale, which is like the richest part of the city. It's like all these schmoozhy Beverly Hills kind of people, and so they're wondering what the hell is going on. So I was like, man, I'm hungry. I was like, oh, there's a mall right there. I was like, I'm gonna go jump over to the mall real quick and grab something to eat. And when I walked in there, I was like, what is going on? It was like fancy music. They had a piano guy playing piano and like all these people. And I looked at the price tag on something and it said like 10 grand. And I was like, what the hell is this kind of place?
Whoa.
And I was like looking around and I was like, oh, is there a food court? And then when you go to the food court, it was like a huge steakhouse, like where like you get steaks and all kinds of crazy, like a full on like really expensive restaurant. So I had to go to this place, had to eat a $35 steak, which I couldn't afford, of course, and then walked. It was like the cheapest thing on the menu, and then walked my butt back over there to the other side. And they were calling the cops on the venue because they were like, "Oh, there's these evil devil kids that are sitting outside this place."
Satanists.
And really, well, we could. What happened was the AC broke at the place, and so the only place that was open was that spot. So we had to like write everybody saying, hey, on the wall, like we moved to this location, and people were like pissed off because they had to drive all the way across the city just to go to a concert. But man, I never seen a mall where like I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I was in Beverly Hills. I was like, this is scary, man. I like walking through here. It's like, what if I break something on accident?
Yeah.
So I can't afford $10,000.
Yeah, my experience with Bayshore Mall, I mean, similar. I just remember it being a really busy place. Just kind of like malls in their heyday, like any mall in their heyday, really. But we would go there. There was a Gottschalk's, there was a Mervyn's, there was a JCPenney's. Those were like the big three. And Sears. Yeah, there were four big stores, and those were the big four. But like there were, like he was saying, there was a food court, and then it kind of V'd off, so there were like two main branches. I just remember, and this is before cell phones and pagers and all this other stuff. So like, if you didn't have a solid plan to meet your mom or your dad or whoever took you to the mall, you're walking around for fucking hours trying to find those motherfuckers.
Yeah. That sucks. That sucks.
So frustrating, man. And then you're fuck it, I'm just going to stay in one spot and then hope that the other person isn't doing the same on the opposite side of the mall. Like, it's so bad.
My
Did
mom,
they even have a pager system, like, calling to like, I don't remember them having a pager system like that. Like,
they had guest services at most malls. They sat in the middle, and you could never find the dude. There was supposed to be one dude, and then when you go to the booth, the person was never there. So you couldn't call anybody. My mom, like at the Fiesta Mall that I lived at, so I lived right next to it. So if she couldn't find me, she would just leave me, and she would like, oh, I guess I'm gonna walk home a mile.
Yeah.
And decide to walk back to my house.
Well, you lived in Scotia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I lived in Fortuna. Scotia is even further away than Fortuna was. Fortuna was 22 miles away from Eureka and that mall. And Scotia was how far away from Eureka?
It's like 26, 28 maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Sounds right.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
So
So
we weren't
you're
close to
either
our
catching
mall
the
at all.
transit bus? No, not at all. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about Humboldt County is it's very like rural, and so there's a lot of outer lying areas. Like if you were to clear off all the trees and mountains and everything, it'd actually be a pretty good size place. But it's everything separated by like every town is usually within like 5-6 minutes on the highway, but it's like all separated by like a river or some sort of creek or a mountain with some trees and everything like that. But that's why the mall was usually so busy. Is you get to Eureka and you go, oh, where are all these people coming from? It was because it was the only like central hub shopping place within 60 miles. So
right.
it was
didn't have
either
a
you're
Target,
going,
we didn't have a Walmart, we didn't have any sort of thing like that. So it was the mall or nothing.
Mall or nothing.
So
yeah.
I have two questions for you guys. So where were your J.C. Penney's and those big places at? Were they in the middle of the mall, or were they always on the outsides of the mall?
They were the ends of those the branches, the very ends of the branches.
Same with mine. Mine was at the end of the thing. I always wondered, like, I always saw this funny story. Like, I was like, I wonder if J.C. Penney and them just walk around like, no, we don't want the middle. We want the outside boundaries for our stores. Because I remember I used to always joke like a turf war like between Sears and J.C. Penney. Like they were on the opposite sides, but I felt like it was like a gang thing. Like, oh, there's those guys from Sears over there. Oh, this is Penney.
Yeah.
And I think it's super. I think it's like super funny. The other thing is, I this is when we were young gentlemen. Where were all the girls at in the mall? And I can tell you exactly the place. Where were all the girls at in the mall?
Claire's?
That's one, but there's another one too. PacSun. I remember vividly hanging outside of PacSun to check out girls that were in the store. Like that was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Also, what was it? The store Roxy, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And it would make me laugh. I'd walk into the mall and I would just see all these guys was hanging out there and like, you ain't looking for no damn clothes.
I was going to PacSun to buy some puka shells, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What's more to the PacSun here in Omaha?
Man.
Maya Melissa. Yeah, she did that. But the other thing I thought was funny was Hot Topic was then when the goth era came in, then it was funny. There'd be all these dudes trying to hit on all the goth girls there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about getting a gauge for my ear," and da da da. And we just sit there and be laughing at them. And so like, their business. I miss it. Do you think ever come back? Do you think like down the road, like it's gonna be like one of those like cool like we have pop culture stuff now that's coming back? Do you think that pop culture might bring back malls, like maybe in a smaller base? But do you think they would come back?
Too expensive.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't think Gen Z has enough wherewithal to bring something like that back. It would just totally depend on the parental structure. If you had enough 80s parents that could influence their kids that would appreciate stuff like that. But yeah, I don't see it happening really. It's sad.
We have a better chance of malls existing in the meta than they do.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. 80s. Yeah. I think it's going to be like a virtual reality thing or augmented reality, and be like, oh, let's see what my great-great-grandfather experienced in the 80s,
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too. Think about it, like Target, for example. All the girls like going to Target, right? It's basically like the same thing like going to a mall. You know what I mean? You're walking down the aisles, you're looking at stuff and all those things like that. There's a possibility it could happen. I could see it. I wouldn't see it like a big scale like they were doing like a long time ago, but I think in a smaller scale, I think they could, a few shops and things like that. Stuff that we like, or like pop culture wise. And that was a good segue too, Ibarra. So we're going to go into gaming as a parent.
Yeah.
I know Ibarra's got many cat kids, and I've got twins and a son, and I know you probably got children as well. So we thought this would be an interesting topic because a lot of times there's some people that just like me, for example, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, my mom didn't censor me at all. And whereas Ibarra here, he got censored like completely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what
Mortal
what you're
Kombat
thinking
was
is,
evil.
us compare us game from back then to now, when we have kids.
So I'm gonna obviously defer to you two parents for most of this segment, but I guess I'll just say my little 2 cents at the very beginning. My gaming habits and my collection would be very, very different if I had kids at any point during my lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Having been a cat father, cat dad,
Cat daddy.
I have the freedom to pour money into frivolous things that maybe you parents don't get to do. So let's hear it, parents. I would really like to hear how you plan on trying to, or if you have tried to pass on any of your gaming habits or loves to your children at any point so far.
So yeah, so my son is a hardcore gamer. So he's 9. My daughter, she's 12. She doesn't really play much. She just gets on Roblox and messes around every once in a while. So she doesn't really game that much. So my son is Nas. My son, he is definitely a hardcore gamer. So yeah, I've definitely influenced him. I mean, really, I didn't know what to start him out on when he was young. So when he was about 5 is when he started to take interest in games. So I just started him off with easy stuff like Lego Indiana Jones and Lego Star. It was all the Lego games. I'm like, that's going to be the easiest thing. We can play it together. We can have a good time. Simple, right? And then as COVID hit, he was about 7.5, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like he had all this time to game, and Melissa was home with him all the time doing Zoom school and doing all that while I'm off at work. And every day I'd come home, he would have time to sit there and go through the hard drive because, of course, I got lazy over the years and I don't have physical copies of games as much anymore. So I have a hard drive full of 200 games, and he's asking me every day, Dad, can I play this? Dad, can I play that? And I was torn because I wasn't a sheltered kid really, but my parents did kind of pump the brakes on a few games, and then they would just say, forget it, just go ahead and play whatever you want. And so I had to make that moral decision with my kid. And he literally came to me and he goes, Dad, I want to play GTA. It looks amazing. I see it on YouTube and I want to play GTA. And I'm just like, you know what? I said, as long as you don't go to the strip club, you're fine. Go ahead, play GTA. Actually, I didn't want him to play story mode either, because the story mode, some of the themes get a little. But I said, if you just want to play online and screw around, I'm like, I don't care if you run over people in a car. I'm just like, whatever, have a good time. And he loved it. And he's a good kid, and I don't think it's affected him in any way. He doesn't act squirrely. I think you got to kind of take it by a case-by-case basis. I think if little Timmy over here is trying to put the cat in the microwave, then maybe not let him play any games that could potentially cause him to go a little ballistic. So but as far as influence, I definitely I ran him through all the greats in my mind. I've tried to get him into classic gaming, but graphically games are so amazing now that he definitely sticks to the newer, more awesome titles. But I got him into playing Doom and the Doom remakes and Doom Eternal. He played. He's a big Fortnite player. He's spent that actually segues into a pretty crazy story that I'll tell you about that. But yeah, he plays anything really. He's super into, he just got WWE 2K23. I was telling Tristan earlier. He loves the wrestling games. Loves GTA, loves Fortnite. So yeah, he really doesn't have a limit. He plays literally anything. So yeah.
I've got a quick question for you, Chris or Frank. Sorry, I keep doing that because I just
it's all good.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that whenever you would, and maybe it was Figuritos in Rio Del. Where did you go to rent your stuff?
Yeah, I would go to Riedel, or sometimes like if I was in Fortuna, because the account was all, for the whole system,
We didn't
I'd
have
go to Fortuna or
for those of
Riedel.
you who are confused what we're talking about, we didn't have a Blockbusters or a Family Video or any like big chain. We had a family run, owned rental chain called Figuritos. That was their last name. So that was our rental place. But my question for you is, and I remember you talking to me about this when we were younger, and I didn't know about Bubble Bath Babes and Hot Slots and those until I talked to you about it. How did you get away with renting those there, Frank?
So I personally didn't rent them. They actually, and they didn't have them at Figuritos. They had them down the street at the liquor store. So the liquor store had a movie rental spot that was about this big. They had like 15 movies and like maybe a dozen Nintendo games. And 3 of those Nintendo games, it was Hot Slots, Bubble Bath Babes, and there was a third one, wasn't there?
Peekaboo Poker.
I can't remember. Peekaboo Poker, that's right. So somehow, my parents didn't give really much of a care what I played or watched, but they still cared. I had a buddy, however, his parents really didn't give a shit. I mean, it was like, you want to watch Faces of Death, you go to Nate's house. You want to play, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so, like, I go, Nate, we got to rent these games. And he's like, what are they? And I go, they're basically NC-17 Nintendo games. They're like the only 3 that I know of that exist, and they have them in Rio. NES porn games. I go, well, your parents rented for us. He's like, let's just ride our bikes over there and go rent them. And the fucking dude behind the counter, he's half cocked on Schlitz. He didn't care. He's just like rented them out to us. And we went home and, we got our little novelty on and we got the chicks to strip down playing peekaboo poker.
Some 8-bit nipples.
8-bit nipples, and was like, oh yeah, it was amazing. and a sad side note is when I actually got into ROMs and emulating a while back, I actually downloaded those for a little nostalgia moment, and I quickly deleted them afterwards. So I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, no shame, Frank. I've got a buddy, John Miller. He has a website called thisroomisanillusion.com. He and I have collaborated on a couple of video games ourselves, like video game releases. One was a Nintendo DS game, a couple of NES games. But he does homebrew aftermarket games. He actually did a full complete in box release, box manual cartridge of those 3 games.
Nice.
So you can buy them as a multi-pack. Like all 3 games are on one cartridge. I've actually got a copy on my shelf.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the quality is ridiculously good too.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. So I do have one more story. Just a quick one about another thing about gaming that I learned the hard way as a parent is so the thing that's crazy about games nowadays with how addictive they are, they're already addictive enough, and then you factor in things like Roblox and Fortnite with that free to play system where it's like, oh, you download the game and it's free, but then all of a sudden if you want like the coolest shit that all your buddies got, you got to spend like $10, $15, $20, $30 on stuff. So my son overheard a conversation my wife and I were having about 6 months ago that one of my buddies, his bank card, somehow the number had got compromised, and somebody like in South Carolina stole his bank information and was on Xbox Live. It was some hacker kid and just ran through his bank account, just buying a bunch of stuff on Xbox Live. So I think my son must have overheard this conversation. So fast forward to like 3 months later, I get a notification from my bank saying our checking account's been overdrafted. And I'm like, what is going on? So I go to the bank and I start talking to the teller and I'm like, what's going on and whatever. And I'm canceling my card because I'm thinking that my number's been stolen, there's a big problem. And she goes, well, we'll cancel your card and we'll get you a new card. But she goes, these all seem to be coming on your end. She goes, this isn't really strangely fraudulent. She said their purchase is being made from your home. And I go,
No.
huh, really? Okay. So I start going through my Xbox Live is the first thing I'm thinking, because she said they're Microsoft charges. So I'm going through, there's nothing in my email, there's no notifications or whatever. So I'm going, let me check my son's Outlook. So I go on my son's email address, and all of a sudden I just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. So somehow, and I had set it all up where he couldn't make charges without me knowing, and he had to get my permission and everything. Somehow, those controls, I don't know if there was a glitch or something got screwed up, but they went away, and he must have spent over $1,000 on Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite V-Bucks. And it was just, and I think what he thought in his mind was that, oh, my parents will see all these statements, think it's fraudulent. We'll call the bank and say, oh, we didn't make these charges, and they'll just clear it off. And, you know, he's 9, and he's just like hitting that X button, just like, yeah, just charged and charged and charged. Oh, dude, it was rough. And the bank was like, "Yeah, sorry, your loss, not ours."
Were you so you were out? Oh,
I actually stopped counting once I saw it go for 1,000. I told my wife, that's it. I'm like, I can't even count anymore. It is what it is. You're not getting it back.
No.
I don't even want to know. So yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was rough.
Crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
So beware, parents. Beware.
So, yeah. I'll say the same thing too. I had the same kind of incident happen. I was at work one day, and my Google actually texts me when someone, makes a purchase. My wife will like buy a movie or something like that. I could see it, and what happened was my sons were obsessed with this Sonic app game on her phone, and I started seeing these charges pop up. So I saw them, I was like, Sonic. I'm like, I know who that is. And so I canceled the card on there like immediately. Like I just took the card off. And then I got home, and I thought it was my older son because he's a big Sonic fan. And then come to find out, my twins didn't know what it was. It was like, oh, you can get this cool costume. And they were like, all right, cool. And they were just hitting the buttons.
Predatory, man. It's so predatory.
It's so bad. So I had to cancel my card on there and move it to another. I had to move to another account so that it didn't happen again, because of mine was loaded on there. That I understand what you're going through with that. That definitely. I didn't go $1,000, but I'm glad I saw the text, because if not, that probably would have happened to me too. By basically my two twins just going nuts on the freaking phone. I don't know. I was never like your friend. I was never censored. My mom was in the mindset was, you're gonna see it anyway. If I try to get you not to look at it, then you're just going to want to go look at it even worse. So me and her were big into Blockbuster. We would watch all these crazy movies. My first movie was Child's Play, of all movies. Like, that's the first movie I ever saw. And my mom was just the mindset that, like, she didn't want to censor me, because she knew if she censored me, there would be a big fight in the house. And she was a single parent. So we would go to Blockbuster. That was her thing. We would go. My mom knew all the managers, so she got all the hookup for the new releases. All the new games came in. I got hooked up on those. Also, the pro wrestling thing, the pay-per-views that would come like a month later, I would get those so I can watch what happened, because I never wanted to know what was going on in wrestling until I figured I got to watch the videos.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about me is that my mom actually was a big influence with me with it. She was take me to Chuck E. Cheese and play Donkey Kong. I played on the Play Choice 10, which I have one back there now because of her. And she was my big influence in video games. So with my kids, it was really funny. Leland actually went right into Mario. Like, he didn't like any of the new games. He went right to the old games, old school Mario. And he played that for a really long time. But now his new thing is Sonic. Like, it was like a perfect storm. When the Sonic movie came out, now he's like all Sonic all the time. He watches gameplay videos and all the Sonic games. He plays all my Sonic games I have here. If I don't have it, he wants me to go to a store and find it, because he's just obsessed with Sonic. He has all the plushies and everything like that. And then my other two are like right behind him, but they like the same things too. So what's great is that like my mom used to take me to a Blockbuster. So when they come down here, it's like a reward. We have like arcades here and things like that, so they can actually like enjoy what it was like to be in the 80s and 90s like we had. And that's why I wanted to pass on my mom's type of stuff, because her thing was on Fridays we would do what's called Pizza Friday. So, and we didn't call it that, but what she would do is we would go to Pizza Hut, we would go to Blockbuster, we get a movie, we all sit down and watch movies together for the night, and then Saturday was like I could play my games, and then well, technically I had to return the movies the next day because she wanted her money back. You know, they give her like a discount for bringing the movies back, rewind it, and everything like that, and then she used it for the next week. And then I would play the games on the weekend, and I would return it back on Sunday, and that was like a cycle thing that we did all the time. And so with them, my kids, my mom passed away early. She passed away when she was 45. So to honor her, I do like Pizza Friday with the kids. So we always have pizza, we watch a movie together, and then we'll probably play a game or two before they go to bed. And we do that every single Friday just to honor her and what she does. But I don't let them play all the crazy stuff. They are trying to figure it out. I remember your birthday party when we were downstairs playing Resident Evil 1.5, and Leon was like, "I want to try this game out so bad." And I'm like, "Nah, you can't play it."
Yeah.
I don't want to censor them, but the same way I get nervous about is that when I was a kid, I was obsessed with games. Like if I got like a shitty game or a good game, I played them obsessively until I beat them. And they have the same kind of like grumpiness as dad is, and I used to get mad a lot about some games like that. So I try to find positives first. So I started with the retro stuff, and like slowly, like Leland like Shadow, and Shadow's like an adulty Sonic, so he's playing that. And I think down a couple more years down the road, I think I won't. I just let him play wherever he wants to play and have no issues with it. But the twins, they're still young, so I just kind of keep them, with the classics. They come down here and they play on the Switch is like the greatest thing ever to them. I think it's their version of Nintendo. They play like Mario Brothers and all the things down here. Shredder's Revenge, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, they play that too a lot.
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah, that's a good one.
Good.
Yeah.
And they know that I like retro stuff. Ibarra's been there. Like they've went to the same stores as we go to. They get excited as we do when we go into stores and things like that. So it's fun for me just to pass it along to them, because they're going to have this. Whatever they want to do with it. But I think it's going to be a good like kind of like bonding thing when they get a little bit older. To mean them, we can sit down here, play games together, and do things like that. That's why I basically made this, was for them. So I think it's pretty cool parent wise. I think Ibarra would be a great parent with all the Mario stuff he has. My kids love going to his house and playing his crane. There's always a conversation.
I was never against having kids. It's just if Natalie wanted kids, we would have had kids. I'm fine with her not wanting kids. So it's whatever for me. Like I never had that like burning desire to have kids. So it's whatever to me.
I was in Nats mode for me, because I was in the military, and I was just like, I didn't really think kids would be a good place to bring them into when I'm doing all this stuff. And so when I got out, Melissa negotiated me with it, and I love all three of them. I mean, they're all three like the same way as I am. I have a twin that's a goofball just like me. I told my wife he's going to be the ladies' man when he gets older. We have the middle child that's like the bully. His name's Logan, and he's Wolverine to every standpoint there is. He's just very emotional and wild. And then Leland is like all of them and combined together, and he's like a really sweet kid and super smart, way smarter than me. So I'm happy to pass along to them, and I hope they get to pass it to their kids when they get old enough and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool.
Well, I joke around that I'm a cat dad and I don't have kids, but I mean, like I absolutely and I love being an uncle, like to my nieces and nephews, and they know that I'm a huge gamer, and they love coming over here. And I mean, I've got a freaking claw machine that I keep stocked with like prizes and stuff like that, just so when they come over, I'm like, yeah, here's a token, go get a prize. But I'm trying to like introduce them to like classic games and stuff like that. I've supplied them with their Xbox 360, their PS3, their PS4. I gave them a PS5. I gifted my my niece a Switch, so she's a gamer now. Like, yeah, she's definitely a mini me whenever it comes to like gaming. That girl is supremely talented when it comes to like being an artist, and she's actually the only person that I talk to outside of like premium edition stuff on Discord. Like, she's on Discord all the time. Emma is. Yeah, so that girl is just a gamer through and through. She's been watching me play like games on my 3DS since she was in diapers, like literally. So I really enjoy, like, it's obviously, yeah, I think I would have made a good dad had I had kids and passed this stuff along, but I can still pass it along as an uncle for sure. As a fun uncle.
My kids love you to death.
Oh, I love
it's funny when we come to the house, they go, Ibarra!
Yeah.
It's wild for me because like I miss my mom so much, and it's just great that I can at least pass something for her, because if she was here, she probably would be playing games with them for sure, or giving me grief for censoring them all the time. But she's like, just let them play.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna go to our last topic, last week's corrections. I have one. Do you have any, Ibarra?
I do. I have one quick one. We were talking about the soundtracks of our youth, and I was talking about how my brother listened to 90s grunge. I was listening to the podcast back. I'm like, why did I say that? That's not what I meant. Like, I mentioned Nirvana, and then in the same breath, Metallica, when I meant to say Stone Temple Pilots, not Metallica. Metallica's not grunge. I know it's not grunge. But yeah, whatever. That's my one correction.
You're gonna laugh at the one that I caught, and I was embarrassed. I actually listened to it the other day, and I was embarrassed. I literally scrolled on YouTube, and I went right to it. I meant to say Gandalf for Lord of the Rings, but I said Ganondorf, which is basically Zelda. And I was like, what the hell was I thinking? And it's just, it's hard sometimes because I got a really bad scatterbrain when certain topics come up and stuff. So I get people confused in different genres and stuff like that. So I want to apologize. Actually, he would have been pretty dope in Lord of the Rings, to be honest with you. But,
so Frank, you weren't on the podcast last week, but is there anything that you did last week that you want to correct yourself on?
Pretty much everything every day. Can we rewind life and just no? I'm grateful. I got a lot of fun stuff going on. So no, I can't think of anything. Comes off the top of my head, but that brings me up to just real quick when Eric just mentioned Gandalf. So I got an 80s movie that you should watch. So I don't know if you're familiar with a movie called Dead Alive, but that is Peter Jackson's first movie, I believe. Put that one on your list. That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you just like good. Straight up 80s gore.
Yep.
Have either of you guys heard of Meet the Feebles?
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't remember exactly what that one is.
If you haven't watched Meet the Feebles,
okay,
or at least seen like clips from it, look that one up.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's can you give me
along the same lines as like a renowned director and his early works. Who did?
Okay.
Hold on. Let me cheat. I can't remember. I think it's Michael. Hold on.
Yeah, it's.
I got one for both of you. You guys should watch Tammy and the T-Rex.
Tammy and the T-Rex. That Meet the Feebles and Tammy and the T-Rex sounds familiar.
Yeah. Meet the Feebles is Peter Jackson.
Yes.
Oh, that was a Peter Jackson as well. Yeah. Okay.
So Tammy and the T-Rex was Paul Walker's first movie, and the girl from Starship Troopers, I can't think of her name. And basically, it's
Denise Richards.
Yeah, Denise Richards is in it, and then the bad guy in it is Bernie Lomax from Weekend at Bernie's. And what he tries to do is he tries to take an animatronic dinosaur and put a human brain into it to make it come alive. And it's the most terrible movie ever. And then like it's Paul Walker as a T-Rex through the entire movie. Like they take it like in a truck and stuff. Like it's the most ridiculous shit ever. There's a game that came out from the guys from Rick and Morty, and they actually put that in the game, like the whole movie. You can like
Nice.
watch it, and it's like Xbox exclusive.
Oh
I can't
my
think of the name of
gosh.
it, but you can watch that movie. And when I watched it, I was like, I can't believe I'd never seen this before. I've like rented everything.
Thank you so much for being on this week with us. Like, I obviously, like, we wanted to talk about gaming as a parent, and me not being a parent, we wanted to bring another parent on to have a sort of a perspective aside from Coffin, who has a lot of experience with it, and he's a huge gamer. So,
Yeah.
not that he couldn't handle that himself. I just, I figured we should have two people on that know what they're talking about, and I'm certainly not one of those. But is there anything, we're doing our outro now. Is there anything that you want to plug, like any business that you guys are doing, any projects that you're working on, anything like that? Any shout outs?
Well, since I am just a dirty old construction worker, I don't have a whole lot. Unless you live in the Humboldt County area and you want some stuff built, you can call DCI Builders out of Ferndale. We do very nice work, a lot of custom home building. But I guess I could plug. So this is the ad for my wife's store. This is just one of my wife's many
there's
ventures.
Guy Fieri right there.
Guy Fieri right there.
Right there. Yeah. So he is actually the landlord. He bought the building that our store is in. So it is it would be the HumboldtHometownStore.com in Ferndale, California. So
I'm
if you're
definitely
ever
gonna check that out.
in the area, yeah. Actually, Tristan's brother actually made a surprise appearance. What was that, about 6-7 months ago? I'm in the back just hanging pictures. We're like just about done with the store, and we're setting the art gallery up. And all of a sudden I hear, "What's up, Chris?" I turn around, and there's Shannon just staring at me. It was wild. So I was not expecting him at all. I had no idea he was even in the area. So yeah, it was good to see him. So, but yeah. So that's one of my wife's many babies. So she'll be happy that I plugged that.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first there, Eric?
Yeah, you go ahead, sir.
Well, just recently, like right before the podcast went live, Kickstarter actually, did a full reverse and accepted my my Kickstarter campaign. So I can go live at any point. I think I'm going to go ahead and go live with it next Tuesday. Like, I wanted to do it on a Tuesday at 10 in the morning. That's like apparently the optimal time to do it, but they didn't do it in time. So yeah, like Eric knows about this, but Kickstarter, they have to review every single one to approve it going forward. Whenever they were reviewing my books, they thought that I was just doing a rehash of my old book. So clearly someone didn't read like what my campaign was about, and it caused an unnecessary week delay. Actually, it's going to be a 2-week delay because of some incompetent person. Whatever. Maybe it'll give me more time to get something done, but whatever. So please, look out for my new book series. It's going to be the Video Game Collector's Field Guide. It's about 2,400 pages, 4 books, and it's visual compendiums of like every single video game library you can think of. Both
That's
common.
awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's a hefty project that I've been working on for the better part of 3 years. Please check it out on Kickstarter. It's going to be live sometime next week. Of course, I work on premium edition games. Give them a visit. You can buy my current book, the Video Game Console Collector's Field Guide, right now. It's in stock. So if you go to premiumeditiongames.com, you can check out my book and the games that we have for sale for the Nintendo Switch. That's my shtick. What you got, Eric?
You guys can follow me at GI Gamer 1981 on Facebook. I also have added to Instagram now, but it's under my own name. But I will be posting, information about Magdx, updates for your Kickstarter, as well as different reels and clips. I try to give the best info on, games to look out for, certain things I pick up. Like next week, I'm going to show off my new hologram signed comic book that I got, sample copy, which is going to be great. There will be some videos on that as well when I show it off. And please follow Ibarra here. He does amazing books. He is the greatest author since Stephen King.
Tolstoy.
So, you know. Michael Crichton, eat your heart out.
Right.
But happy that you came on, Frank, and appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to nerd out with us. And you're always welcome back on the show. So
thanks for having me. Yeah.
Now my last spiel is I always tell everybody, make sure to collect, open, and play your games. Do not treat them like stocks. If you want to do that, go to Wall Street. I don't got time for that. Open your damn stuff. I'm going to open this right after this thing's over. Screw plastic. All the ones behind the bar, I'm going to get those too.
Yeah.
Have a good night. See you next week.
Later, guys.